So here's the big dogs. Since 2006, the snow on Mount Shasta has 5 times more aluminum, 61,000 micrograms per liter, than the soil underneath it. Pure white snow has more aluminum in it than mud. Can you beat that? The snow water is unsafe to drink on Mount Shasta. How can white snow have more aluminum than mud? Now, the aluminum content of rain should be 0, with a pH of 5.5. When jets are not spraying, maybe so. When the jets are spraying, we get up to 13,100 micrograms per liter and pH up to 100 times normal. It goes really alkaline. This is over 13 times the federal safety limits for drinking water. Don't drink the water.
Greetings, gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm a retired scientist, bachelor's, cum laude in forestry, master's in zoology, 35 years, USDA scientist, Soil Conservation Service, U.S. Forest Service, civil service equivalents in range, wildlife, fisheries, geology, agriculture, soils, ornithology, entomology, botany, mycology, hydrology, am I qualified to speak? Just letting you know. Okay, you want some figures? Okay, latest water test, tested the rain. 13,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum in the rain in 2013. Normally, it should be 0. So 13,100 is pretty damn much, folks. It used to be 0, then it was 100s in the 2000s. And then since 2010, it's into the 1,000s and the latest 13,100. In the snow on Mount Shasta, pristine Mount Shasta, 8,000 foot level, 61,000 micrograms per liter. 4 times the amount that is found in the soil up there. Where in the hell is this stuff coming from if it's not coming from the soil? Now, normal, again, it's, these tests are international in scope. We're seeing this all over the world, guys. The aluminum in the soil has doubled in the last 10 years. Aluminum blocks essential nutrients. I am unable in my garden to restore normal pH, and that's because nanoparticles are now in the circulatory systems of both plants and humans. So welcome, fellow guinea pigs. The collapse and decrease of agriculture is something I worry about.
Okay, you can lead into precipitation testing. Francis, what have you done? How's that gone?
The way I get most of my data, in fact, I should say the preponderance, 90% of it, there's a little bit from natural observation, but 90% of it comes from testing snow water and rainwater. And I get it as soon as possible after it falls. And it varies also a little bit on whether you get it right in the first wave of precipitation that comes over for a front, and there's always more in the first wave than in the end of a front when it's coming through. It's a 5-day storm. It's always a lot more on day 1 than there is on day 5.
A lot more contamination.
Yeah, a lot more contamination.
Okay.
Like in a first wave that came through one time here, we measured the snow, and the snow was 61,000 parts per billion. That's micrograms per liter of aluminum. Now, that makes your hair stand on end when it's that much.
Put that into context for us, that how high above what we should expect is that. We know that we should probably be less than 1 ppb. We're 61,000. Put that into context if you would.
Okay, normal is 0. And you're getting 61,000. Normal would be 0. Or maybe to allow for, say, some people will say it's contaminated. Well, a contamination rate would be like 1 part per billion, which is a heck of a lot different from 61,000 parts per billion. Even the soil is not that high. There's more aluminum in the precipitation coming down than there is in the soil. That's very scary. And then, of course, in the rain, it varies depending on whether it's the start of a front or the end of a front, and that varies again from in the tens of thousands to a couple hundreds, and occasionally you'll get something that's less than 100, but it's almost always in the thousands.
Of parts per billion.
Parts per billion or micrograms per liter.
And for this, again, that we should really ideally expect nothing, not even 1 ppb, and we're talking about hundreds or thousands of parts per billion. Would you not, we would have to consider that highly toxic snow and rain as far as human consumption.
The federal government has a toxic limit of 50 parts per billion or micrograms per liter of aluminum. And we're talking, 50 is the limit for federal. And we're talking local people that are drinking rainwater that's doing thousands. But when it starts going into the thousands, like we're getting in rain and snow water now, and I'm not talking just Mount Shasta, I'm talking all over the United States, you're getting in the thousands.
Of parts per billion.
Of parts
Yeah.
per billion,
Keep
micrograms per
Keep
liter.
reminding people that.
It's just astounding